Hello folks, welcome to the OceanState Cuisine. Yes, I know it's been a while since I made my last video, but I went through quite a few issues lately, and I did make another video about my channel and what I've been up to. So I'll be releasing today's video and that video probably around the same time. So anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be making a no sugar or sugar-free stir fry, and this is going to be with chicken. I know keto's huge right now, and I'm also a diabetic, so sometimes when I could cut sugars out of my diet, it's a win. And this actually came out really good because we know that traditional stir fries has a lot of sugars in it. It's got like teriyaki sauces, it's got sometimes brown sugar, it's got a lot of sweet things inside of stir fries. But this ended up coming out tasting really good, and I did not even miss the sweet side of it. So let's give this recipe a look. Alright, so first let's go over some of the ingredients we're going to be using in today's dish. So in the front I think those are like 2 chicken breasts that I cut up into strips. Then I have a bag of stir fry blend right next to it. And then on the left and the back I have some black pepper. And then behind that, or next to that, I got some minced garlic and some chopped up onion, or I should say some sliced up onion. And then next to that, I have some light sodium soy sauce. You could actually use regular soy sauce, you just use less than what I'm about to show. And then in front of that, I have a can of chicken broth, and this is also reduced sodium. I actually didn't even notice that when I went to buy this can in the market. But seeing I do add quite a bit of soy sauce to today's dish, I think it was a good thing that it was a low sodium broth. And then I also use a couple of other things not shown here, like a little bit of flour, some butter, so we'll get into that in just a moment. So now in this skillet, I'm going to heat it up on about medium heat. This stove cooks really high, so medium heat on this stove is almost like medium high on other ranges that I've used. And to this, I'm going to be adding some olive oil. I guess it's time for me to get another one of these pans soon. So as you can see, I didn't add a lot of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom. And then I'm going to add some butter to this. Now, if you notice, a lot of cooks and chefs lately, they cook with the combination of both olive oil and butter. This is something Julia Childs started way back in the day, and the reason for this is that it makes it where the butter will not burn. Of course, it could burn if you got it on high and you're just not being careful. But plus the butter also adds a nice flavor to the olive oil. Now normally by now when you use just butter alone in a pan like this, it'll already start turning brown. And we see right now, we don't see any brown. And then in goes the chicken. And again, you're looking for a good sizzle when you're doing this. So depending on your range, you know, like I said, mine's on about medium right now, but you want it anywhere between medium to medium high. If you're using a wok, that's even better. But you want to hear and you want to see that sizzle. So now I'm going to start stirring this around a bit. And yes, I know I am using a metal spatula here, but like I said in other videos, these stoneware pans are a lot stronger. Even though we did see that I have some scrapes in this one, but that's because dumb old me used a knife, which is something you do not want to do. Now in the past, I did always use woks. I just don't happen to have one at this time. And with those, you want to stir the food more frequently because you're cooking on a higher heat. Now here I'm adding just a little bit of salt, not too much, and just to the chicken. The reason for this is because everything else that I'm using has sodium in it. And then next, some black pepper. Usually I use the ground black pepper, but I ran out of that, so I'm just using the regular fine black pepper. And we're going to give it another stir. Again, we're cooking together. And I figured I'd give you guys a little sound of the sizzle. So now we can see that the chicken's starting to cook a little more now, but it is definitely still raw in the center. So you don't want to be tasting this. And now in goes the onion. And again, I cut these into slices and then I cut the slices in half. When it comes to stir fries, I like onion to bite into. And then of course, what's chicken without garlic? And I use the nice, hefty, helping teaspoon's worth of garlic for this. The minced garlic to me is really good, and I like the juices that comes inside of it. Now if you're using cloves, I would say that's about maybe 3 cloves right there. But then again, it depends on the size of the family that you're cooking for, or friends. You know, how much chicken you're gonna need, and how much garlic and all that stuff. Saying I'm making this for myself, but I did get a few servings out of it. So I don't use that much. And then of course we want to blend this all well. Get all those great flavors mingling and dancing. Okay, now what I'm doing here with the spatula is, because the chicken's more tender now, I'm kind of breaking it up a bit because these pieces were just a little too large. Then again, I just keep on stirring it. There is really not involved in this dish, and it tasted really good. Sometimes less is more. Now I think that this combination cooked long enough for now. Now I'm going to place this aside on a dish, because now we need an open skillet to do the next step. And you want to keep all those nice little bits and chunks in there. It really adds flavor. So now again, on about a medium heat, we're going to add a couple of pats of butter. And we want to melt this down, because now next I'm going to be making a roux. And a roux is a combination of melted butter in a skillet like this with some flour. Or you could also use, some people will use a small amount of cornstarch, whatever you like to use, but in this case, I'm using some regular flour. And I would say right there, I use probably about 1/4 cup, maybe a little more. And then you want to get your spoon, or in my case, the spatula, and we want to mix this up. And you want to form like a paste. So if you feel like it's a little too dry, just add more butter, which is what I'm getting ready to do. A roux is mainly a thickening agent. I think a lot of people, most people are familiar with roux by now. Now right about this time, if I had some white wine, I would probably add some to this right around this stage. And now in goes the chicken broth. And you just want to add this gradually, stir it around, add a little more, stir it around, until you get the consistency that you're looking for. We're basically building right now a gravy. If you have a small whisk, that works really good right now too. And now using a fork really works well here, because I got a lot of moisture now in the pan and I don't want it splashing all over the place. And plus, the fork, you press into the flour and it kind of breaks up any lumps. And as this cooks, it's going to start to thicken up more, and it's going to start tasting really good. Now I'm adding more chicken broth here because I want to make sure that I have enough sauce here to cover the vegetables and the chicken. And then in goes some black pepper. And then I'm hitting it with some parsley flakes. And then next, I'm going to blend this all well. Now with a spoon, I'm just testing the consistency of it, and it's still rather thin, but it's going to thicken up as it continues to cook. Next, I got the bag of the stir-fry blend, which I actually thought was going to have bigger chunks and actually more vegetables than it did have. So if you're making this for like a family of 4, you probably want to use 2 or 3 of these bags. And now the vegetables also have starch in them. That's going to help thicken up the sauce also. Now I'm just going to stir it again with a fork. Now in goes the main flavoring of this dish, which is the soy sauce. So I added a couple of good splashes right there of the soy sauce. I would say that that's maybe about 2 tablespoons worth. I would actually only go with about 1 tablespoon right now, and then later on taste it and see if it's too salty. You could always add more later on, but you can't subtract. Now in goes the sauteed chicken and the onion and the garlic. And now it's starting to look like a stir fry. Now myself, I like a lot of soy sauce, so I'm like, I'm going to add a little more. So I probably added about another 2 tablespoons worth of soy sauce right here. I did taste it, but I guess I didn't capture that. And again, I'm going to give it a good stir. And now I'm just going to hit it with some crushed red pepper flakes, just to give it a little bit of a kick. And then we're going to keep stirring it every now and then. And now we're just going to let it simmer. And we're going to let this simmer now to actually cook the vegetables because they have been frozen. And to also finish cooking the chicken. And then this is still going to continue to thicken up. So on about a medium low, I probably let this simmer for about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes. And then I test the consistency of the vegetables, like the broccoli and the thickest part of the vegetables, with a fork or the point of a knife. You want your vegetables to be tender, but not falling apart. But again, you're the cook. We all have different taste. You cook it to the way that you like it. Now it's time to give this a taste test. And that taste is perfect right there. I'm not going to add anything else to this. Now you did see me earlier skim off some of the broth, is because I felt that I used too much broth, because like I said earlier, I thought that I was going to actually have more vegetables in that bag. And then again, after testing the consistency of the vegetable, and then once the sauce got to the right thickness that I was looking for, this dish is pretty much now done. Now all that's left is to give this a look. And there we have it, folks. This is my version of a no sugar added stir fry. Again, it's great for people on certain diets and also diabetics. And I thank you folks so much for stopping by and checking out the OceanState Cuisine. Don't forget to sub up for more delicious videos coming your way. Also throw us a like. Hey, it's all free. And until the next time, you folks have yourself a fantastic day. Take care.